Hello, it's Maddie, and today we're going to be talking about the books I read in the month of August. So I read 5 books this month. I would have liked to read more, but it was the start of the school year. I was starting a new job at 2 different schools as the music teacher, and my life has been chaos. However, I have read a few things, and I had a pretty good reading month. I really enjoyed the books that I read. The first book I read was War of Two Queens by Jennifer L. Armentrout. The From Blood and Ash series was like the biggest surprise, honestly, of this year. I mean, I had read the first 2 books last year and actually really enjoyed them, but romantasy is not typically my genre. I've tried ACOTAR, hate it. I've tried Fourth Wing, really don't like it. Even though I do like other Rebecca Yarros books, do not like them. Trying to think of like any others that I've read. I really should probably start more. I do like Throne of Glass, that is like, but I consider it more like high fantasy, and I read that in high school, and it feels younger, but I think I would not necessarily connect to it in the same way as I did back then. But From Blood and Ash is like it just like perfected a formula for me. I honestly feel it feels so much more like a political fantasy, and it kind of like bridges the gap between, I think, romantasy and epic fantasy, because it has so much more of an epic fantasy feel to it, and there's so much lore to actually sift through and understand. The characters are fantastic. I thought this was such a phenomenal finale to the series. Like, obviously I gave it 5 stars. Well, it's not actually a finale, it's just the last book that was out, and I feel like it was like the finale to the arc before you have to read the prequels to understand the rest of it, if that makes sense. But I just really loved it. Again, like some of my favorite characters in the entire series were introduced: Malik and Millicent, Millie. Yeah, like their story to me was so understated and beautiful and heartbreaking, and like Malik having to being expected to go back into his normal life after essentially being psychologically tormented by Isbeth for like 100 years was heartbreaking, but so realistic. And like him and Castile having to like start to rebuild their relationship, also phenomenal. I love Millicent. I think that she is unhinged and so funny, and I loved her. And her relationship with Malik is also just very understated and complicated, but actually I think really beautiful. Considering what happened, I think Isbeth is such a phenomenal villain. I think I talked about it in the last book, but like in like whatever video I talked about Crown of Gilded Bones, but it's she was not shown for a lot of time, and then when you actually see her, she delivered so well, in that she has such a heartbreaking backstory. She is crazy, absolutely crazy, and cannot be redeemed at a certain point. However, like there were scenes that really made you feel for her. Like you learn more about her backstory, her heartbreaking backstory, and like the end of this book. I mean, this is a spoiler for the end of the book. You're warned. When she goes and stabs Malik instead of Poppy, because like despite all of the horrible things she's done, she looks at her crying and she's like, I can't do this because I love you. And it's so complicated and not enough. Like, she cannot be redeemed. She deserves to be killed. She needed to be killed at the end of this book. However, that moment, it just added so much to her character, and this book to me was phenomenal. Definitely got a 5 stars for me. Next book I read was volume 8 of the Number 6 series, which is a series of light novels I have been reading, and I can't really say a lot about it because it's the penultimate book to this series. However, I really enjoyed it. I think that in this series of novels, I would call like the first 4 really being more expository, almost slice of life, as you get to kind of understand these characters, the mysteriousness, A lot is kind of dripped towards you about these people, what makes them tick, mysteries within the world of Number Six, the city of Number Six. And though Number Six is interesting, I do think that the characters really make it what it is. To the point I did read like an afterword with Asuka Asano, the author of these books, and she did say something like Shion and Nezumi were just supposed to be cherries on top in a story that was about Number Six, but she then like went on to say like places cannot be written about without people, because people are what make a city breathe. And like that felt so true in this series. And honestly, I love the way that this was paced. I love how the first four were expository. It dripped things to you, and then emotionally the final run through the correctional facility hit so hard because it was given so much time to breathe. They hit these emotional moments that were just perfect for this series, and I think that definitely culminated in this book. Not as much the second book, and I will talk about that, or in the last book, and I'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, I think the pacing of this just lent itself so well to making this book hit as hard as it did. I loved this book. It's a 4-star book. Next, I read Number Six, Volume 9. This is the last book in the Number Six series, and this one was my least favorite. I still liked it. It was a 5-star book. I thought it was a pretty solid series, so it really just had to not drop the ball to get anything less than 4 stars for me. I mean, I give the whole series 4 stars. It's not like a new absolute favorite, but I did really, really enjoy it. And yeah, it was good. I just felt like the ending was rushed. Honestly, I think like what lent the book to hitting as hard, the other books to hitting as hard as they did for me, was so much of this pacing, and I thought it was paced perfectly. Everything was given the right amount of time to breathe. I feel like she just sort of needed to end the book, and we slapped an ending on it, which I'm not a huge ending person, so I'm not like that mad about it, but I did think that this ending was rushed. It's not bad. It's fine. It's perfectly fine. And I will say I did watch the anime after this, and it's where I think I realized that the pacing really was just so much better in the light novels for me. And yeah, and not that the anime was bad, it just spent so much time on the expository stuff from the first 4 volumes, and then it left like 3 episodes for the correctional facility, so everything felt so much more rushed. Not just the ending, which was even more rushed in the anime. Like, I already had an issue with it in the light novel, but like, anime was worse. I still really, really loved the books. Again, I just think the ending was a little lackluster, but I'm not like that mad about it, so good. 4-star book. Alright, so the next book I read was Soul of Ash and Blood. This is the 5th book in the From Blood and Ash series. It's kind of like the chill book after the craziness of War of Two Queens, where Poppy kind of goes into stasis because she just recently ascended into being a primal, and you have to go to it in one of those when you complete the culling. And then Castile, in the Notebook style, tells them of their love story, and I actually really, really loved this. It's definitely, even though it doesn't sound like it should be required reading, it definitely is. Because you learn a lot about the world. It kind of sifts, it shifts between Castile's point of view in the first book and the present timeline. So it's almost like, I feel like Armentrout needed to put stuff in place for the next book, which you can definitely see in the modern timeline, but it gave the book like more oomph by including Castile's point of view in the From Blood and Ash book, the first From Blood and Ash book, and I really liked it. It's like a 4-star book for me. I thought it was actually really, really wonderful to see Castile's point of view, because it just gave us a lot more insight into his general headspace in that time. Not that he was ever, he never just felt like he was he was never like planning to kidnap Poppy because he was a bad guy, obviously. But I don't know. It made the whole situation feel sadder. I liked seeing stuff that was going on in the modern world, like the scene where Iris, they get Iris out and like he sees Poppy. After he's like never been able to see her, she doesn't even know he's her father, and that was just heartbreaking. And the whole scene with Nectus there too was really, really sad. I loved that scene where Malik and Millie came back, and after they ran away, and they did something to Emil, but it was like a really subtle joke because you just never find out what happened they did to him. And like poor Emil's like the punching bag, the brunt of a lot of the jokes in the book, but like that was funny. Also just that scene where like Castile has been so mad at Malik for just feeling betrayed because Malik survived and aligned himself with Isbeth, but yeah, the scene where they finally hashed it out and were just okay was also my favorite scene in the book, and a brilliant scene. Also, I just really liked the end where you find out that Castile can now turn into a cave cat. That was also it was fun. This was a really, really good book, and it makes me excited for the next From Blood and Ash book that's about to come out. I am almost finished with A Light in the Flame right now. I have to read the other 2 prequels books, I think probably before it comes out, just because Colas is going to definitely become like the final boss, if you will, and I'm pretty sure I don't want to go into the last book without having read the prequels, just because I don't know. I want to have all the backstory around Colas, as well as like Nyktos and Seraphina, who are about to also become, I think, really prominent characters in the in From Blood and Ash, not their prequel series. But we'll talk about that in a second too. Anyway, really good book, 4 stars. And last but not least, this was also my maybe second favorite book of the month. It was A Shadow in the Ember by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and this is the first book in the prequel series to From Blood and Ash. And it is the Flesh and Fire series. I adored this book, okay? Like, I say so much how like romantasy doesn't work for me. I am so invested in the relationship between Sarah and Nyktos. I think individually they are phenomenal characters. Sarah, personally, I just connect to her so much more than Poppy because I'll just be honest, she's more like me. I get her in all of her awkwardness. I get like just her thought process all the time. She has like zero filter. She'll say something not thinking about it, and then I'm just like, oh, Sarah. And then she is like, why did I say that? And I'm like, I get it. I get it, girl. I like how she doesn't like most people, but connects to animals and children. That's also relatable. I just like Sarah a lot. So, like, I instantly loved this series more, just from being in Seraphina's head. I think her relationship with Nyktos is so beautiful, and like the ending scenes were heartbreaking as he finally learns that she was sent to kill him. All of this was just done so well. I think that all of the lore being presented in here as well is already making the original series better, which I really, really love. I think that this has so much lore to it, which is, I don't see as many people talking about this as like some of the more popular romantasy titles, and part of the reason is I think it might have too much romance for people that typically only want to read epic fantasy, and the lore might seem overwhelming if you are not used to reading fantasy. And I think it's great. I think that it bridges the two genres so well, and I never think that, like, I don't think that it feels difficult to read, ever. But there is so much lore, and it's so fun to kind of, like, piece things together. It was excellent. I made an entire video just talking about this book, so I mean, if you want to hear more thoughts on it, go to that. I don't think I was super coherent in that video, in all honesty, because I did it after the first 3 days of school. So, I mean, if we look at past Maddie and see what I said, I might still agree. Well, who knows? It's out there, though. Anyway, those are all of the books. Sorry, my dog needed me. Anyway, those are all of the books that I read in the month of August. Again, pretty good reading month. Not really any duds for me. I mean, maybe the last number 6 book, but even then, it's fine. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you watched this long, please tell me if you have read any good books. I would love to hear about it and just talk about books. Anyway, have a lovely day. Bye.